Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to November. I am Reverend Rob Banaszak, and this is our Wednesday evening meditation. I am the pastor of the Institute for Spiritual Development in Washington, D.C., and we host these meditations most Wednesday evenings, and they are the time, just a few moments to get into the stillness, to reflect on perhaps how your week has been or your month, and then to go a little more deep into ourselves to discover some guidance and messages and intuitive insight. To do all of this, we use the beautiful Earth Magic Oracle cards right there. We love them. And we just allow the card and its image and its message to give us that gentle prodding or reflective insight that allows us to get some more information that we may need or that we have asked for to respond to something going on in our daily life. I like to look at these meditations as both information for our personal selves as well as for our community, and of course the community at large, the universe, the world, the greater consciousness. But if you're going to be watching for the first time, of course, check it out for yourself and go from there and see how that works for you. So I see Ria is on. Thank you for joining us, Ria. It looks like it might be just you and me tonight again. How fun is that? So Ria, I was just explaining how we do this to whoever's watching, and you know already how we do this using the Earth Magic cards. And choosing a card. So I'm just making sure I can get the spotlight up here for me. Sandra's just joined us. Great. So welcome, Ria and Sandra. Sandra, you also didn't miss anything either. We didn't draw the card yet, but we are just about to, so you are right on time. And it is November already. It is almost the end of the year. Who can believe it? I know that I can't. I know that I keep mentioning these time stamps, but really, as they said when I was younger, just wait till you get older, time goes by so quickly, and my parents, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles were not wrong. So let's see what the cards, these beautiful oracle cards, have to say for us on this very cold and crisp autumn evening here in Washington, D.C. So I'm moving around as usual, and then I will, of course, draw the top card, and we all can see what that card was. And again, I like to choose the top card so that you don't think I'm going inside the center of the deck and choosing out what is intuitive for me. You're watching me shuffle, you're adding your energy as I shuffle them, and then we're all kind of seeing that card that we choose on the top that we agree is going to be our card. So here I go. Not that great at it, but I guess I can be metaphysical and say I'm getting better and better at shuffling cards every single day. Better and better. And I believe we are scheduled here in our home for a delivery, of course, between 7 and 9. So you may hear some dogs bark if we go deep into meditation. If that's the case, I'll just change the sound settings and we'll finish the meditation with a voice only. So here we go. We're shuffling, shuffling, shuffling. So let us choose the top card together. You've added your energy. Now you want to see your card. It is Ooh, it has been a long time. I think we got this card on one of our very first meditations. DNA, karma. Now I'm going to put the card down and I'm going to switch camera so that you can take a good look at it while I read a little bit about this card that the author had written about it. So let me switch cameras for this. DNA. Hmm, interesting. Hmm. DNA, karma. Karma, a concept in many Eastern religions, is a Sanskrit word implying the greater universal laws of cause and effect, providing an implied code of ethics within the structure of these seemingly endless cycles of birth, death, and rebirth, samsara, which we experience throughout our lives in many different versions. The mistaken notion about karma is that it's some kind of punishment, but it's far from that. In fact, in its purest form, it simply asserts that our conduct in this lifetime will determine our next incarnation. It has also come to mean how our behavior and actions in this lifetime create consequences in a slightly different version of the golden rule, which of course is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. We not only carry our soul's karma into this lifetime, but also embedded in the complex coding of our DNA as our genetic ancestral karma. The double helix structure of DNA contains codes that have been passed down from our parents and grandparents, as well as our ancestors. Therefore, we have some of the same genetic information that comes from the DNA of the very early humans. In this card, we see two intertwined serpents with double helixes on either side. Variations of this archetypal image exist in many cultures, both traditional and contemporary. It's a graphic representation of the most ancient ancestry we can lay claim to, our DNA, the fundamental substance of life itself that provides substantial determination of life path. And again, really look at the card. What does it bring up for you when you see the images, when you see the colors, when you see the words, when you see what the card means? DNA, karma, cause, effect. The book goes on to say, aspects of your soul entered your primitive physical self long before you had begun to take form. While the DNA that you inherited from your biological parents has a physical component, it also has a soul pattern that came together in the creation of you. You are predisposed to follow the karmic dictates of this patterning to some extent. Yet as you evolve in your consciousness and expand the light of awareness, you can make choices that shift and modify this ancestral design. This is one of those times. You can feel the tug of your soul that is both ancient and karmic. Yet you also recognize the persistent and loving communication from your higher self that contradicts the more familiar solutions before you. The choice is up to you. But know that every time you heed the guidance of higher self, no matter what etheric or physical form that takes, human consciousness is elevated. In a sense, it becomes a choice of destiny and fate. Fascinating, as I was just listening to an interview with Paulo Coelho, who is the author of The Alchemist, And it was a Super Soul Sunday interview with Oprah Winfrey where he talks about the difference between destiny and fate. And in a way, this karmic existence that we have is one of cause and effect. All of our actions have a consequence to them. And in this opportunity tonight, we've been reminded of the choices that we make. We can choose to act as our DNA has prescribed us to act, or we can listen to our higher consciousness and ask it, is this the time to break free of that ancestral DNA, of that ancestral karma? Or is it time to reflect on the wisdom of that ancestral knowledge? But I think this book is saying that as long as we check in with the higher self, it may in fact tell us, the wisdom of the ages that you have been blessed with is the best way to approach this situation. Or it may say, you got to bucket, you got to move on from that ancestral, those patterns. It's all for you to decide. Now, as we go into meditation this evening, I invite you to reflect on just exactly the situation in your life that is being responded to with this card and with this reflection from the Earth Magic Oracle Cards book. Because once you can determine, at least generally, what this is referring to, then you can ask that question of your higher self. Is it the ancestral wisdom, the DNA that I am following for this situation, or am I breaking free from it and choosing something different? But because we're here, because we're in the stillness, we can in fact consciously check our higher self for the answer. So let's meditate, shall we? Let's get comfortable. We're at home or online. You can get as comfortable as you want. If you want to try to stay awake, you want to make sure you do something to kind of keep yourself in the veil. So perhaps that's raising your legs, or maybe when you're reclining, you're keeping your back up, but your legs out in a reclining position. Whatever you need to do to remain in the space of meditation without falling asleep. But know that if you do fall asleep, you will be absorbing all of this energy that you're getting from both the meditation and from those who are participating. So it's all good, no matter what. And of course, we begin our meditation by becoming consciously aware of the breath, of our breath, as it enters into our bodies, as it fills it and cleanses it, and then as it washes out, as we release it with the exhale. So let's start with that breath. And again, we're just becoming aware of it. We're going to just take a moment to be intentful with it, so that it's coming in slowly, inhaling through our nose, filling our body, and then exhaling. And we're inhaling again, paying attention to how it feels as it enters our body, fills us, cleanses us, and we exhale. And one more deep breath, inhale, and exhale. And now that we have become aware of that breath and we are conscious of it, its nourishing, sustaining properties, we can allow it to return to normal inhaling and exhaling. So with every inhale and exhale, we're going to relax first. We're just going to relax our bodies by allowing the feeling of a gentle warmth covering us, starting at our feet. It's like a big fleece blanket is being applied to our feet first, and then it's just going to slowly rest on each of our body parts as it moves up our body. So imagine this big, soft fleece blanket covering our feet. And our calves, and our thighs, and our hips. And just imagine that blanket is suspended but is slowly resting on our hips, our waist, and our chest. Our shoulders, and our arms, our hands are covered. And now that fleece blanket covers our throat. It's going to cover our chin and our mouth, and we're going to be able to breathe. It's not like a mask. It's actually just relaxing us more and more relaxed in its warmth and its comfort as we wrap up inside of it. It covers our eyes, our forehead, our head. And as we're wrapped up in this blanket like a shell almost, we imagine ourselves just temporarily disappear from our physical self. We are so relaxed, we can release our essence into the atmosphere. And here in the atmosphere, we ask our question, the question that we've thought, the question where we have guidance from the ancestors, where we have insight from our deep self. What is the question we're seeking more information about? We don't want to overthink it. But what was that question about our lives? Perhaps a situation or a relationship that came up as soon as we knew we were asking it. What was it? And with this question, we choose now take some steps and go even more deeply into ourselves. Right now, we've released our physical body, any pain, any ailments, any anxieties. We've released them and held them as they are cared for by the breath. We allow our essence to do some exploring this evening. Which means we're going even more deeply into our deep self. Which means we're traveling even more high in our highest self. We reach up, we reach in, to go deeper or higher and higher, all to make alignment with our divine being. And as these tones fade, we recognize our divine self. We align with our highest being. We feel comfortable. We feel safe. We feel supported. We feel love. We feel love. And in this safe space of our essence, we can hear the voice of our ancestors, the voice of the DNA that remains as part of all of us. It's our heritage, it's our pattern. And to the question comes the response. How have we responded previously to this issue? What does that DNA that remains the thread in our connection reveal? Is it the wisdom of the ages? Or is it a routine that we maintain to keep us safe from exploring outside, to keep us safe from having to make another choice. Is it wisdom? Is it a routine? Only you, as this deep self, as this highest self, know this answer. But in seeking information from our highest self, we know all consciousness is elevated. And as these tones fade, we now explore the response to that question, the one that is a choice, that is perhaps something new, perhaps a way to act or deal or respond or to be that's never been done. Because it is this, in this pivotal moment, we get to choose. If it's time to break free from the routine and the rut of our ancestral DNA, we choose now. So just reflect for the next few moments on this perhaps radical response. Is it exhilarating? Is it what we really want for ourselves? Because we know that no matter what, if we choose it, we align with it, it is possible. Does it feel radical? Does it feel exciting? Does it feel scary? Does it feel inevitable? As these tones fade, we allow the clarity of our deep self, of our highest self, to be revealed. The solution, the decision, and the choice has been made. We are making it with our highest self. In this clarity, in this space, we have empowered ourselves to choose how we move forward with the ancestral DNA that has been a part of us. We can never relinquish it completely because it is part of who we are, but we certainly can make shifts when the clarity reveals it's time to move forward. Allow that clarity to ring like a bell in our heart. Like a bright, beautiful morning. Does this clarity fill us? We can see this clarity. We can feel this clarity. We can hear this clarity. And armed with the sound of this bell to remind us of the clarity. We choose now to return to our physical earth life, physical self, to respond and to live and to engage by choosing consciously. So here in this stillness, we just allow our essence that has taken this journey and we suddenly feel ourselves covered ever so gently with that beautiful fleece, warm blanket. And as it had very gently covered us and coated us and enveloped us, we allow it to slowly peel off a bit at a time from our head as it just peels off, releasing a clear, fresh, bright self. As it comes off of our neck and our shoulders and our chest and arms and down our stomach, it comes off of our hips and our thighs and our knees and our calves, and just pulls off of our feet and disappears, leaving a fresh, glowing, bright, healthy and whole physical and spiritual self. Comforted by the karma, as we are comforted by our choice that we have made with our highest self. And in this dual space of being, let us return completely. We will take our 3 breaths. We'll exhale quickly on the first 2 by keeping our eyes closed, and then on the third one, we will open our eyes together. So inhale and exhale. Inhale again and exhale. And one more deep breath. Inhale and exhale as we open our eyes. Hello. Hello again. This was quite an interesting journey because we all have this unique DNA that comes through our lineage, through our ancestors. We can feel that uniqueness. We can feel our patterns from that ancestry. But if we allow ourselves to go a step further, that unique pattern, that unique lineage, that unique karma can be seen as part of a universal consciousness, of a universal cause and effect. And it's when in that point we can both understand our individual space, experience, karma, and time in that space where we can also at the same time see that it is part of something even greater. Can we choose with clarity? Can we know that we are relying on wisdom to do something that is necessary? Or we can see it as a rut or routine that may keep us and hold us back. Or if we can break free a long-standing pattern that hasn't worked for us in this space and time. So I hope that you all had the joy and the comfort of connecting with the ancestral DNA and karma, and also the rush of knowing that it is part of something so much greater, that we are all truly one, part of the one consciousness and one being. I do invite you to, of course, join us next week for future meditations. Also to check our website. Again, we are in transition. We are without a physical space here at ISD in Washington, D.C. However, we are with a very powerful virtual community that continues to kind of deepen and strengthen. And now, as we become strong at our core, it's now time to branch out. So come to our meditations, come to our Sunday services, suggest it to a friend, pass on the link to a friend, spread the word about who we are so that we can continue to show the universe, to show ourselves that this wonderful virtual space is one that is healthy and exciting and entrepreneurial, and is limitless in our possibilities and options of connecting with people all over the place. So again, spread the word, pass it on. We are here, and we are here to stay. A beautiful evening. Signing off now. This is Reverend Rob Banaszak, and we are with the Institute for Spiritual Development in Washington, D.C. I wish you a beautiful autumn evening.